Hello. Hello, hello, hello. I think we're live. If anyone's out there monitoring. Okay. Okay, I see someone in the chat. Sweet. Okay. Looking good. I was having technical difficulties previously. YouTube has a weird thing where I set up the stream on my phone and it didn't give me any notifications that it wouldn't translate if I was trying to stream on a desktop. So I had to change the link. So I hope that people can still make it. But I'm glad I see a couple people here. Hey, MC and Louise. Hello, hello. I am in my studio. I try to spruce it up a bit. Get some ring light in here. And I wanted to show off my gear a little bit more, because why not? Why not? How's everyone doing on this brisk Thursday night? Hey, Danny. Thanks for hanging out. Hey, Hexachromatica. Hey, Zayology. Damn, these names are really throwing me for a loop right now. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I haven't done a stream in a while. I feel like, last year I was kind of doing more music website streams for the label. But I kind of miss the more intimate style streaming. Just you and me. It's nice. I feel like I can ramble forever about nothing. And you'll just sit here and take it. For better or for worse. What bookshelf speakers? Oh, no. These are just some rockets, hand-me-down rockets, just for strictly for these guys. But my studio speakers are over there. I have some Yamahas over there. Podcast life, yeah. I feel like my setup has updated a bit too, so I have a designated podcasting equipment for the first time. But yeah, I just wanted to hop on the stream to kind of talk about everything that's been going on. I feel like I've been a little bit of reclusive lately. I've been working on an album, 2 albums kind of, but focused on one in particular right now. And it's been kind of crazy. I've never been working this hard on music ever. I feel like I can't go out and talk to people right now because the only thing I can think about every second of every day is just finishing this record. So it's making me maybe a little bit antisocial, but it's been healthy in other ways creatively. I feel like I'm tapping into something I haven't really tapped into before. So I have a feeling that people will like this next record more than anything else I've put out in the past. I'm going a little more indie, which maybe you can hear a little bit of that with the track I just put out, the cover I just put out. Oh, hey Richard, thank you. Hey Mr. Cat, thanks for always hanging out in that chat. But yeah, I feel like, so I hope you guys had a chance to listen to the song, but if you haven't, I'm going to play it in a little bit. I just felt like putting out this cover right now would be kind of a good move, because people are so used to my electronic vibes, and the fact of the matter is my roots are all in indie and guitar based music, because I started as a guitar player. I got my start playing in bands in the DIY scene out in Virginia, Harrisonburg, Virginia, and which is where I met a lot of my friends. One of my friends, Tommy, who's in Beach Fossils, and I met kind of like people in the captured track scene and stuff. So like that's always been kind of my foundation, my foundational community. And I left that after some time to kind of explore the dance world and the electronic world. And I've always loved electronic music. Like, I mean, you know, I would say Kraftwerk and Aphex Twin are like some of the most formative artists for me. But yeah, I think I got into like the dance world in New York, and then it was so needed for me at the time. But now I feel like I'm kind of circling back to my roots again a little bit. And like this past year, kind of like briefly mentioned it in my Instagram post, but like, yeah, I just felt like I needed an escape maybe from just how dark these modern times are a little bit. Like I kind of just felt like I was, every time I would be like listening to Spotify, I kept gravitating towards like more shoegaze and just like indie rock that I used to listen to back in like 2010. And it gave me a sense of calm, I think, just because of like the familiarity of it all, and like something about it just felt more grounded. So I've been listening to a lot of that this past year, and then I'll give you the background to like why I decided to do this cover in particular. I was just like walking to work, and I have a mile walk to work every day. So it's a long walk, and it's a great time to consume music, a mile walk to the train. And yeah, I was just kind of like on shuffle on Spotify, and then this song came on, Fortress by Pinback, and I had completely forgotten about this song. Like I used to listen to it a lot, I guess like late in high school. And I used to love that song, and then it came on, and I was like, whoa, this song's so good. I totally forgot about it, and I almost like it more now than I did back then. And then I was like, my gears were kind of turning, because the production on it it's fairly simple, and I really was having a hard time just tapping into anything creative at that time. I was just like dealing with the worst burnout this summer. I don't think I wrote a single thing really, or I was trying to have fragments of songs here and there, but I was having a really hard time doing anything. So I was like, well, if I'm not going to like be writing at this point in time, might as well just like try out a cover for the first time. So I thought this one would be a good one to take a stab at, because of the simplicity of their production, and I felt like I could almost add something that I wouldn't say that's missing from the song, because the song's great in and of itself, but I felt like I could readapt it in a way that like was kind of true to me and my like ethereal vibes. I could just hear it when I was listening to the song. So I was like, this would be cool to try out. And then I basically wrote it in the day, which was very, very unlike me. I'm normally like months long with my songwriting process. So that was interesting to see, like when you have more of like these restrictions and maybe like limitations or whatever, and like you're just given the structure of a song that already is there, like it really helps you like focus. So yeah, it was easy to like not really overthink it. And then also like all of my friends were just like obsessing over Pinback at the same time. And then I found out they were on tour, and I found out that they actually released this song, or the album that this song is on. They released it 20 years ago this year. So I don't know. I feel like stars were kind of like aligning in a weird way. Oh wow, there's a lot of, I can ramble. I'm just reading what you're saying in the chat real quick. Hi, Sweet Sounds. I can't wait for the new album too. I'm really like just antsy to get it out. But yes, I'm excited for that. It's so cool to hear that people are still listening to my last record. That's very nice to hear. Thank you over there, Venomana. these names. I'm so sorry. I can't even attempt this one. Um, that's nice. My music is your escape. That's really nice to hear because that's kind of what I make it for. That's my intention. For myself, just when I am writing, it's an escape for me. But I could go on a whole tangent about this too. But like, I I really love listening to guided meditations and stuff, although I haven't been doing it in a while. But I feel like I'm always like trying to channel that in a way with my music, especially with my lyrics in a lot of songs. And I feel like I have an intention when I'm writing to sort of like urge the listener to explore maybe a different part of their mind or like escape in some way out of the material realm a little bit with the words. It's kind of like mantras that I scatter throughout, and not just for the listener but for myself too. It's like a shared experience between me and the listener, I hope. So it's nice to hear that it is your escape, because that's what I would hope for. Thank you. Thanks for all the nice words. Richard, I'm really trying to challenge myself vocally more. I'm a very soft-spoken person, and then also that translates with my music too. And it definitely doesn't help that I live in New York and close quarters with like people living upstairs that can probably hear me right now, like me whispering right now. They can probably hear me. So it makes you get in your head a little bit when you're writing. So I feel like that might cater to my vocal style, but I am trying to challenge myself a bit more. And I think a good example of that would be like I put out a collab with TDJ over the summer, and that was cool too. I'm having all these like ways of sort of challenging myself and exploring just new areas of production and vocal styling through this cover, but also through collabing. And yeah, so TDJ is like just a trance producer. That this project is just like classic kind of like Y2K styled trance. And so I really challenged my vocal styling with that, and I realized that I have a lot more to give in that area. Like I have a lot more to explore and develop for sure. So I am trying to make my vocals a little bit more front and center. That's probably one of the biggest challenges for me, but I am I'm exploring that now. Moon and I asked thoughts on optimistic futurism. You're gonna have to explain that last part. Fruitager Arrow revival. I don't know what that is. I would love to hear more about that. But optimistic futurism, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if you're referring to that as like a genre or something, but I try to have a level of optimism in my music because it's easy to not feel optimistic about the future. I think we can all agree. Feels like everything's kind of crashing and burning right now. But like I said, I think I'm trying to use music as a tool to reframe a lot of things for myself and for my listeners. Maybe shift people's consciousness in a way. And if enough of that gets shifted, that creates a level of strength and power in numbers. So not to say that like, not to undermine myself either, but it's going to take a lot more than like a song to do that. But I feel like I can just be like a piece to that puzzle maybe with my music. So yeah, I think all of my optimism towards the future kind of gets funneled into my music. And then on a day-to-day basis, maybe not so much, but I feel like we can all kind of relate. How was working with TDJ? It was great. It was, it wasn't like we were hanging out in the studio together or anything, but during the pandemic, just like right around the time I started this project, I stumbled on her music through Chillwave Kittens one day. He was like playing a music video of hers. And then I was like, whoa, I remember I commented, I was like, this is a perfect song. Just perfect. Her vibe's just perfect. And like, people say that we're kind of adjacent. So that's always a nice compliment for me. And then I linked up with her when she was in the city one day. She DJ'd at this venue called Hollow. And I went there and I said, hey, and we hung out for a second. Then, I don't know, we just like, we were keeping in touch, I guess you could say, on socials. And then she hit me up and asked me if I wanted to collab on this track she had. And I was immediately like, yeah, sure. She hit me up on like a Friday. And I was like, definitely, I'd love to. And I was like, when do you need it by? When do you need my vocals by? She's like, oh, by the end of the weekend? Is that possible? I was like, yeah, sure. But I made it happen. Somehow I made it happen. I mean, like I said, like having those restrictions and like deadlines and stuff can be a nice tool sometimes. So yeah, I just wrote those vocals throughout the course of a weekend. And I really like it. I like the lyrics and everything. And I feel like we really mesh well together. Like I'd love to do more collabs with her in the future. I think that'd be great. And she also has kind of a guitar-based background as well. So I feel like we have a similar trajectory in a way where, yeah, she, I think her previous project, Ryan's Playground is the name of her previous project. And it's really, really awesome also. And she's also a really big Blink-182 fan, which is interesting. I wouldn't have guessed that. Thank you, Sebasto. Hello. I have some fans from Costa Rica. That's cool. Okay, question. So, Akita, I don't know how you want me to pronounce that. Akita asked about the label I run. Yeah. So last year, right around this time, my partner Chris and I decided to start our own label. I think a lot of that came from like just seeing New York coming back to life, as post-pandemic, like so many more shows and like so many artists starting to make music, release music. So it felt like a really opportune moment to just do something we've always wanted to do. Running a label has just been like in our blood, I think, since the very beginnings, since we met over a decade ago. So it just felt like perfect timing to try that. And, a big thing for me, community is everything for me. And it's hard in New York right now. It's been hard for a long time to find a community of like-minded people on a sonic level. It's like you have the dance DJ scene, which I've kind of been a part of for a bit, and that's been my community for a while. But it always felt like I was a bit of an outsider still because, like I said, I come from that rock scene a little bit, like the indie rock scene. So, yeah, I feel like now with this label, we have a lot of artists that have one foot in the electronic side of things and then one foot in more of the indie side of things. And I feel like there's like an ethereal quality to a lot of it too. And it's not just that. There's a lot of other stuff on the roster, but yeah, it's just a great group of people. Everyone's really positive and optimistic and very kind and sweet. And I don't know. I just feel like in a way, like I feel like I'm helping to curate this like awesome atmosphere of like-minded people. So yeah, it's been going on for a year now, and we've done a bunch of like single releases, one album, and we did some shows. We had some showcases and stuff, and I don't know if I'm allowed to announce right now yet, but just between you and me, we are having an official South by showcase also. So yeah, and then tons of releases happening this year too. So yeah, I was really busy with that last year, so maybe that's why I haven't been like doing stuff like this as much, because I was really focused on just like getting the label up and running. And now I feel like it's in a good place, so I can kind of like home back into the Vitesse world a little bit more, which I'm excited about. So okay, back to questions. Fruit is Your Arrow is like the early 2000s vision of the future, basically. It's kind of like the early 2000s nostalgia, like Windows XP, for example. Oh, cool. It's cool to know there's a name for that. I'll be using that in the future to sound like I know what I'm talking about. Thank you, Iriyasu. Thank you. Yeah, I feel like that the cover did come really naturally to me. I wasn't really forcing anything. And that's kind of why I chose it too. I knew that I wasn't going to be like overreaching in any way. I was really tactful with like, if I'm going to do a cover, I have to do something that I know I can actually execute well. So, and I have a lot more in mind now. Like I'm scheming in my head to do maybe a cover album at some point. In part just because I feel like it would be a great exercise as a producer and as a songwriter. But it'd be cool to like also just like tap into the headspace of all these artists that have inspired me. I've been thinking of like doing a broadcast cover. That feels really doable for me. My voice has changed a lot, but like back in the day, people used to say that I sounded like Trish from Broadcast. So, and I feel like the production, it's like kind of minimal. So yeah, that would be my next one. It would be cool if I played a show in Florida. I agree. I am starting to play more shows out this year. And because I have an album in the works that I'm planning on releasing this year, I'm going to be doing a lot more shows on that. So I'll make sure to hit Florida. I mean, I don't know where in Florida. Oh, you're in Miami. Okay. But you suggest Orlando. I haven't actually spent much time in Orlando. But I've been to Miami a few times on tour. But I was running sound all of those times. So, yeah, I ran sound for Beach Fossils at Gramps, which was crazy. People went absolutely insane. And the console was on wheels that weren't locked. So most of the time I wasn't even mixing. I was just like guarding the soundboard. And then I did sound for George Clanton at 3 Points, which was cool for me. That was like my first festival show that I did sound at. So, but yeah, I'd love to actually play down there next time. That'd be cool. St. Augustine is haunted. Ooh, I want to hear more about that. Thanks, Quincy. Yeah, I'm excited for the new album too. I really like want to leak some stuff for you guys, but I don't know. I'm like scared of giving too much away. Also, like everything keeps like changing. So I don't want to like make any false promises or anything. But yeah, I'm really excited. I will tell you that one song that is going to be on the record will be coming out in the next few months. So, which is one of my favorite songs on the record so far. So, yeah, soon enough. Chris, what is the Do It referring to? Oh, okay, the South by showcase, yeah. Danny asks, am I friends with Picture Plane? Yeah, I'm friends with Travis. I met Travis during the pandemic, I guess because we had both joined 100%. So he came over my place to do a green screen performance. I had during the pandemic, my basement became the go-to spot to do live streams because I had the green screen set up and then the CDJs. So yeah, Travis came over to DJ and and then we just became friends ever since, and we've been DJing at events and stuff together. And yeah, I have a really awesome piece of art from him upstairs, which I wish I could show you, but next time. I'm reading. I'm catching up. I'm a slow reader too. Yeah, Gramps is definitely seems like the joint down there. And I love the outdoor vibe. It's not something we really have so much in New York. And it's such a tight squeeze wherever you go. But yeah. Hey Daffodil. Thanks for joining. What do you think? Should I play the cover? I feel like I should, in case anyone hasn't heard it. I haven't listened to it in forever, so maybe I'll jog my memory of certain production stuff, I guess, maybe. Okay, let's see if this works. Okay, cool. Wait, I gotta mute my mic first.
Summer in bed, you and the lazy
That's it. Thanks for all the nice words. Um, yeah, that was fun to make. I really want to do another cover soon because that was really fun. Yeah, I try to make it a little more psychedelic, a little bit more ethereal. I was just hearing it in my head when I was listening to the song. I'm like, I love the harmonies. When that pre-chorus part comes in, that was the part that made me realize I should try out the song because those harmonies are so nice. But yeah, I don't know. I was okay. So I was like really freaking out before putting out this song because it's very it's like not your standard Vitesse song or like what people have kind of come to know me by. So I was a little scared that I was gonna like alienate people who are used to the more electronic thing. But that's just me. I get in my head about stuff really easily. But I'm happy it's out now. I feel a lot better now that it's out. I can like appreciate the song for what it is now. So yeah, I really like it. It's a lot more playful than anything I've really done too before. Because I wrote it so quickly and I feel like it's a good learning lesson in the future, just with writing my own music, to not overthink things so much and sometimes just like let things stay simple. Definitely, that's an important thing. I'm very prone. I don't know other producers in the chat if you have this problem, but definitely prone to like making things too busy and just constantly trying to add more and more and more instead of taking things away and just like letting certain aspects of the song really shine. So yeah, simplicity is the way to go a lot of the times. Yeah, Yune Pinku did a Cranberries cover. I feel like a lot of us electronic heads have that side to us, and I'm noticing a lot more people tapping into that now. For whatever reason, like I said before, I think like escaping back into like a time where things were a little bit more simple and calm. I think indie music can give us that. So, yeah. And if you have any questions about it, let me know. I could ramble more, but I feel like I'm talking in circles now. So let me know if you have like any questions about the production and stuff. I kept it really simple this time. When is the new album coming out? Still TBD, but this year. I have songs off the record that will be coming out sort of incrementally. So you'll be hearing pieces of the album throughout the year. The album itself as an entity, that's a little bit more TBD, but one of the first songs off the record will be coming out in the next few months. Yeah, I did want to add like a little bit of that like DNB drum production, just a squeeze of it into this song, because I did want to kind of reel it into the Vitesse world to some degree. And the drums, the original drums for the song, it felt so fitting for it. So yeah, I add a small like breakbeat part in the track, which I think works well for it. Yeah, trying new genres, that's the way to go. For me, I hate staying in a lane. It's like the death of me to stay in a lane, which is like, some would say problematic in terms of like on the business side of things, or not even the business side, but just like, you know, when you build an audience and they get accustomed to a certain sound, it can be harder to navigate. It can be a little bit more difficult to feel free to explore because, yeah, people just define you in a certain way. Not to mention like streaming services and stuff. Like if they know you as someone who makes ethereal breakbeat music, it's hard to like then be like, oh, actually now I have an indie song, you know. But I do it anyway because I think I get bored if I'm doing the same production. I think every song I ever write, it's like I'm starting from square one, because that's what makes it interesting for me and a lot more genuine for me too. So, yeah. Have I ever approached any record labels? Well, I have my own label, so that's all I need. Yeah, I mean, the label model these days, I don't need to get into the nitty gritty, but I think most of us know, like, a lot of it's outdated. A lot of it is kind of archaic. Like, I think it can be helpful in terms of, like, getting a platform where more eyes see you. That labels are definitely important for that. But for me, I'm not looking for... I just don't want someone to have ownership. I don't want someone outside of myself to have any ownership over what I say or do or make. It's just not something I'm into. And I also think for me, I want a label to be more of a community-centered thing than a money-making thing or whatever it might be. So, yeah, I'm happy just having my own label forever. Unless something changes, I'm not going to just like lock myself into something. But yeah, I'm happy just running my own label and releasing on my own label. I'm pretty new. I mean, that's nice of you to say I should have more attention, but I'm still a new artist. I'm still a developing artist. I'm still navigating like what my sound is. And I feel like I've definitely figured out my sonic identity a lot more, but I'm in no rush to have 1,000 eyes on me. Well, no, 1,000's actually pretty normal, but I mean like, 1,000,000 eyes on me, let's say. Yeah, I'm in no rush for that because I think that would be too soon for me. Like, I don't play shows very often, like I would love to just have time to develop that too. Yeah, I'm still developing, so I'm in no rush. Like, I'm just happy to be making music and putting it out right now. And I'm busting my ass to do that. But I just want the music to speak for itself. I think that's a big thing now in modern times too. It's like people get so hyper fixated on these surface level types of ways of promoting yourself. And it almost feels like, I don't know, with like TikTok and stuff, sometimes it feels like people treat that more as their priority than actually making the art sometimes. Maybe I'm just jaded. I don't know, but I see it a lot. And my personal belief is if your music is good enough and if it resonates with people enough, I still believe in the power of word of mouth. And I think that just let the music speak for itself. And yeah, if people like it, they like it. So I think my goal is always to make the most honest music I can make that hopefully resonates with the most people. And we'll see where that takes me. Yeah, the label is called Music Website. It's a little confusing and terrible for SEO, but that's kind of the point. It's a little bit of like kind of like a fuck you, like, it's not about that. Oh, thank you, Ziggurat. That's really nice. It's really crazy to get these nice words from people that, I don't know, that my music has like affected them in some way like that. 'Cause I don't know. I've been talking about the past couple of days. I just can't, like, I've been reflecting a lot. I think wintertime does that to you, I guess. It makes you a lot more reflective. And I was just like, wow, like 4 years ago, I wasn't even considering making music at that point. I kind of given up because my career as an audio engineer had kind of been, it was going really well. This time, 4 years ago, I was running sound for Beach Fossils on like an East Coast tour. And I remember at the end of the tour saying, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. Like, I'm happy doing this. And then the pandemic hit like a couple months later. And then I had to totally restructure my plans for myself. And that included getting back into like a creative thing for myself. And then, yeah, so to look 4 years back and be like, I didn't even consider this to be something in my future. And now to be in a position where like I'm making music and it's affecting people and it's connecting with people, like that's like the most amazing thing. So I have a tendency of thinking too much about that one mean comment, but lately I've been really trying to like take in the nice comments, and the more I think about it, it's like it's really awesome to have people say that. So thank you. Will I release the album on cassette? The next album, I'm certain that there'll be a cassette run of the next record at some point. Maybe not like in its initial release, but yeah, we love cassettes at Music Website. We love cassettes. I've done 2 cassette releases in the past 5 months, something like that. Yeah, I have cassettes upstairs. Maybe Chris can bring it down. I have cassettes upstairs for Us Ephemeral, if you're interested, with a variation of the album cover. It's like the single artwork. So yeah, we love cassettes. And we like CDs too. We're getting into CDs again. Yeah, genre blending's the best. When people say they can't define my genre, I take it as the biggest compliment in the world. To me, being an artist means creating something new. I'm a creator. I create something new. So I want to blend things. Yeah, I think Chris is coming down to show the cassettes. Yes. Yeah, if you're interested, we have it on www.music-website, well, music-website.com. Yeah. What new albums can we expect from Music Website this year? Well, man, I don't know what I'm allowed to give away, but we've already told the public that DVI has an EP coming very soon. DVI. I hope you're all familiar with DVI because she's brilliant, just brilliant in terms of like her as a producer, but as a visual artist too. And if you have a conversation with her, she is an encyclopedia of knowledge. It's wild. Whether that's like music genres, trends, gaming. Yeah, I feel like honored to be in her presence whenever I'm in her presence because I feel like I know nothing. But yeah, DVI has an EP coming out soon, and then we're going to be releasing a bunch of singles for sure. Couch Prince also has an album on the way. They just released an album not too long ago, but they have a whole nother album on the way. I've heard a lot of it, and it's really amazing. They're really cool. Speaking of genre blending, I feel like, they do it really well. They have a lot of that electronic kind of like drum and bass influenced side, but then they also combine that with like Americana. And it's like something I haven't heard before. It's really cool. and very easy listening at the same time too. My set Econ 3 was great. Thank you. My computer was having a moment at Electronicon 3, and internally I was having a meltdown, but it's nice of you to say that because maybe I didn't give too much of that away. Yeah, I had just gotten my M1 MacBook not too long before that, and there were some updates that it actually wasn't, I found out it wasn't even my laptop, it was my interface. So the entire time I thought it was my laptop, but it was my interface. But yeah, I was having issues at Electronicon. Still fun. Still very fun. I do have a day job. Yes. Still have a day job. I have to be there at 9 a.m. tomorrow. But I like my day job, actually. So I feel blessed to be able to say that. I get to... Well, I still am in audio engineering. More in like the corporate side. Like I do more like podcasting style stuff for work. And so I'm like running interviews, all the audio for the interviews. And then I work with DJs and stuff too. So yeah, I'm still kind of in the same field that I'm passionate about. So I'm very lucky for that. Okay. Bye, Michael. Good night. Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, we love CDs too. Apparently in Japan, CDs are really having a comeback. So I feel like that trend might move further out towards us at some point. Chris says we're going to drop it on all formats. Wow, you own all of my music on cassette? That's sick. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Swords is working on 2 records as well. Swords is working hard. I've heard a lot of her stuff that she hasn't released yet. And it's fucking good. Real good. So, I'm not exactly I don't know the timeline exactly for Swords, but she's working on it. She is working hard. So, and of course, I can't believe I missed Tapeworms has an album that will be coming out sometime this year. Yeah. So they're going to be releasing maybe a single or 2 before then as well. Tapeworms are the best if you haven't heard them. The best. Oh, the comp. Yeah. So, music website, my label, we put out a compilation album last year to kind of get a feel of like just the New York scene a little bit and to showcase some of the artists on the roster. Yeah, Vapor Memory posted it, and we still have some vinyl for sale. They look really cool. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to promote the label too much on here because I guess that's not what this is about. But yeah, all this stuff is on www.music-website.com, and we have some cool stuff. We have a lot of great music available. More collabs like the TDJ one this year. Yeah. Maybe like a remix. Yeah, I got a remix coming soon. So keep your eye out. Maybe I could probably just tell you guys. I feel like why am I keeping things a secret? Because someone mentioned Picture Plane earlier and I forgot to respond. But yeah, so sorry, I'm having brain farts. It's getting late. Give me 1 second. My brain is recalibrating. I made a remix of my own song last year. So last year I put out this song called Right Now, and I made like an alternative version of that is a little bit more trancey And I didn't know if I was going to put it out or not, but then Travis, Picture Plane, he made another version of that as well. He asked me for the stems, and then he kind of made his own thing. So I was like, oh man, we got to put that out at some point. So soon I'm going to be putting out both versions for you to hear. So there is like a Picture Plane collab on the way. But yeah, we haven't done anything where like I have my vocals on his track or anything, but I'm sure it'll happen. Yeah, he's always down to collab. So, and I would love to. Can I do a Borat impression? Probably. I feel like I do Borat impressions inadvertently. But no, I'm not gonna do a Borat impression for you off the cuff, because that would not go well. We only have small size hoodies in the store? ? Chris? Oh, okay. He already answered. Yeah, Swords is great. Go check her out. Her new stuff is also just like, she's developed so much, and she hasn't been writing music for very long either. It's like not, she hasn't been doing this for like a decade or anything. So it's cool to like hear her sound developing. So yeah, for any of you guys who haven't heard Swords, you should go check her out on Spotify. It's Swords with an E at the end. Hi everyone. Hi Kern. Do I play video games? I really don't. Which makes me kind of a poser to be like affiliated with the vaporwave scene and not play video games. But I don't. I'm kind of one of those people that will watch you play video games. I used to be, I was never a gamer or anything, but I used to play games when I was younger a lot more. And like Mario Kart in college, I did that a lot. But yeah, I think like if I have free time, I'm either working in the studio or yeah, I'm just working in the studio. That's it. I don't really have like time where I'm doing any type of fun recreational hobby these days. Aside from making music, of course. Oh, hey, it's the other Jordan. What's up, JPEG Stripes? We got Null Object in the house, aka Groceries, aka JPEG Stripes, aka... Wait, there's another one. AKA Jordan Bortner. What's up? If you haven't, I'm gonna do a shout out. If you haven't, so Null Object is an artist on music website, and he put out an EP last year that's really fucking sick. So I would go check that out ASAP, and lots of cool remixes as well from some vaporwave legends. Men I Trust. Yeah, I do love Men I Trust. I love their vibe. I love how everything they do is just so effortless. It seems. Yeah, they just have the best vibe. I wouldn't say I'm like actively listening to their music a whole lot, but if it's ever on, I'm like, yeah, this is sick. First press as ephemeral vinyl is sold out? I guess so. Yeah. I guess so. That's cool. Or sad. I don't know. More DJ mixes from me. Yeah. I've kind of taken a step back from DJing for a little bit because I realized how distracting it was from making music. I take my DJ sets maybe a little too seriously, and I spend so long getting them prepped, and it's fairly time consuming for me. So right now it's just because I really want to get this album done. I've been holding off on the DJ sets. But as soon as this record's fairly squared away, I'm going to get back to it. I mean, I got the tools right here for it, so I'm ready to go. Am I on Spotify? Yeah. I'm everywhere. I am everywhere. My music hits like a video game. I know, it's funny. Like, people talk about how it reminds them of, at least some of my music from the previous record reminds them of video game soundtracks and stuff. So it's interesting. Yeah, I wasn't like intentionally alluding to any of that or anything, but that's kind of how it came out, I guess. Probably because it's like something about the ethereal quality meeting that digital sound. There's a lot of that in like gaming soundtracks. So, but it's funny that I get tied so much with it when I'm such a phony when it comes to being a gamer. Repress Reprise is absolutely video game music. I agree. Eyeliner Remix is so good. So Sweet Sounds. Yeah, it is. Will I be repressing as ephemeral? I'm sure. I can't give you a timeline on that, but at some point, yeah. I've considered doing maybe the full extended version on vinyl at some point too, potentially, but I can't give you any guarantees. Records on the shelf behind me. So we have a giant shelf over there with all of our records. I just kind of kept some of the main ones that keep me inspired. What should I list off? I have like, what is this? Oh, Sing Kitty. That's definitely an obscure one. We got Sonic Youth, Cut Copy, Fortet, Washed Out, Crystal Stilts, Oppenheimer Analysis, Souls of Mischief, Geno Socio, J Retard. I don't know if we're allowed to say that word anymore. Sorry. I hope they don't ban me. Lizzie Mercier de Clou, Gang of Four. We got a lot in here. It's a nice variety. It's a nice mix. We got some Vitesse X, Brian Jonestown. Yeah, I feel like if you wanted to kind of just like get a crash course in my influences, a lot of that would be here. What's the Cut Copy record called? What is it? Bright Like Neon Love. Yeah. There you go. Oppenheimer Analysis is really sick. Yeah. I had a big phase where I was just listening to like a ton of dark wave, no wave, just like minimal wave, whatever you want to call it, stuff in that world. That was like my bread and butter for a few years. Yeah. There was just, I loved like the ominous, dark, looming vibes of all of it. I don't listen to it as much, but it's still a big part of me somewhere. But yeah, what else should I talk about? Feel free to ask any question. I'll answer nearly everything. But what should I talk about? Oh, yeah. How could I forget? I am going to LA in about 2 weeks, and I'm going to be playing a show on February 1st at El Cid with, I hope you guys I hope you guys know who this is, with Auragraph. Just the two of us. We're going to be playing an early show, and it's going to be super fun. So if you're in LA, I would love to see you there. I'll try to bring out maybe some merch. I got to fit a lot on this in my luggage because we're doing a long trip out there. We're going to be shooting for my album cover and some music video stuff. So I'm going to be carrying all that stuff plus my gear, but I'm trying to fit merch in there. Sweet Sounds got their tickets. Hell yeah. That's awesome. And yeah. Oh, it's my first LA headline show too. So, it's going to be super fun. I don't know the next time I'll be able to make it out there. So it's now or never. Would I ever consider doing a walkthrough tutorial on how I make my music? I'm scared to do that. I should do it. I know I should. But, and I think if I went back to a song that was done, I'd be able to maybe verbalize the process a little bit more. But my process is never very streamlined. It's always so experimental, just kind of like throwing things at a wall and then waiting till something emerges. It's not really anything I have control over a lot of the times. So, yeah, I think if I really took the time to like sit down and dissect it myself, then I could probably do a tutorial on one of my songs. I would just need to prep myself and maybe like I would need to like really remember how I even started the song, because every song starts differently. And it's never like this linear thing where I'm like, okay, write the bass line, do the drums, do this or that. It's like back and forth, all over the place. But yeah, maybe just even showing a session just to see kind of like what plugins I'm using and stuff. I'd be down. I'll get back to you on that. The new album is coming out on my label that I started last year called Music Website. So, yeah, everything I've been putting out recently is all out on Music Website. So, yeah. If I could perform anywhere in the world, where would I like to perform? I mean, I have places that I just like want to travel to. But I think Japan in general is just top of my list for traveling to and playing. And we actually might be doing that at some point. I've heard from people from friends that are musicians that have played out there. They just have the most amazing time. The fan base out there is just amazing. And they're so excited about anything and everything that comes through. It sounds like good vibes. And I'd love to just be there and get to have that experience. So yeah, we've been talking to some artists on the roster about planning something, and it seems like it might be coming to fruition, honestly. So maybe even this year. We have a couple people on the roster that are planning on moving out there soon, and then like DVI, she's lived out in Tokyo, so we have ties to Japan. And a lot of the artists on the roster are all really influenced by the music that comes out there. So, yeah, I would say that's first on my list, and I think it might actually happen. So that's cool. Do I ever see myself doing music full time, as in day job? Bye. I don't know if I can answer that one, because I like my job, like I said. So I would never want to put that in jeopardy. And And I honestly don't even know. Like, I think if I had the opportunity to just like be a musician full time, it sounds good in theory. It really does sound good. It would really depend on like how stable it would be, because I know people who have become full-time musicians, and it's a whole different level of stress that comes with that can actually take away from the beauty of being an artist, because now you're treating your art as what provides you. You're treating your art as what kind of as part of your survival, to get bills paid and all that. And when that happens, I think there's a mindset shift sometimes where it's like you have to approach every song you're making as something that needs to hit, and it can really cloud your vision, I feel. And I always want my art to be something that is an outlet for me and a tool for self-expression and connection and all those things. So I wouldn't ever want to taint that. And also, just because I have a good job, it's like that's hard to come by these days too. So it would take a lot for me to be like, okay, peace. It would take a lot. I like having balance. I do like having balance. I like having a diversified portfolio of life. I work at a studio for a I mean, I kind of give it away. I feel like a lot of people probably know at this point, but yeah, I work for a bigger company that you probably know of, but they just on the radio side. So I work as a sound engineer, recording interviews, podcast style interviews. We go live sometimes. And I record DJs that come through. So I just work as like a live sound, or I work as an audio engineer. I used to work as a live sound engineer, but yeah, that's my main thing. Oh, cool. Daffodil's gonna be in Japan too. Maybe you'll be there at the same time we are. That'd be sweet. Would I ever score? Oh, hi, Marcus. Hey, so Marcus is in the chat. Marcus McDonald. Shout out to Marcus. Marcus took this album cover. Marcus took this photo of me, and it's amazing. Marcus is an amazing photographer, by the way. But Marcus asks, would I ever score a film? What ideal type of film would I want to score? That is, damn, Marcus, you're putting me on the spot. I would definitely like to score music for a film. I feel like that would be a cool challenge, like a cool like way of restricting my mind a little bit. 'Cause I do like to, I've played with starting a song, kind of like visualizing a setting and sort of soundtracking that. My song right now that I put out last year, that's how I approached that song, where I kind of like put myself in this setting of like being on top of this a setting that I've actually experienced, being on top of like this mountaintop, looking at the sunrise and sort of just like living in that moment, and then soundtracking whatever came out. So I mean, I kind of do it on my own, so I feel like it could translate pretty well to an actual score. I feel like it would be a lot of pressure though. What type of film? Oh, I don't know. It's hard to say. I like kind of like juxtaposing sounds with visuals that you wouldn't necessarily expect. So it's almost like something like that you wouldn't expect from my sound might be interesting. But also like, you know, I've heard that some of my music sounds like it could be the Matrix Matrix soundtrack. So, the next Matrix remake, I would fucking do that. Hell yeah. Oh, Kat's in the chat too. So Kat and Marcus, they were they're my friends that were in my music video for Us Ephemeral. So they're kind of like famous. AI will soon enslave us all and will force you to release a hot D&B single every week. Yeah, seriously, I can go down like a mental rabbit hole, thinking about like AI and how it'll take over streaming. And I really don't like to start thinking about that stuff because it gets me kind of depressed. Because it's already happening. There's like bots on Spotify now. Like the algorithm now will just push out these songs that are like a minute long that just are, it's very apparent that it's made by AI because it's like fairly soulless, and it's just like, it just doesn't, you can tell, it just doesn't feel like there's like a human behind it. And they're all a minute long. So like it works well for the algo because it's not going to get the skips because it's very short. And so it's happening. I see it. It's kind of frightening. But yeah, I think there's a lot that's going to shift in the next few years even, in terms of like the streaming landscape at the very least. This year, I will take my DJ diploma. It's just a matter of money to have it. And I'll start to play music somewhere, hopefully. Cool. Yeah, I think everyone should be a DJ. I feel like that's what people are starting to hate on, or at least DJs are starting to hate on it. Like, everyone's a DJ now. It's like, no, everyone should be a DJ. Everyone should be an artist. Everyone should be able to express themselves in whatever way they seem fit. Yeah, Chris's dad said my music sounds like it should be in the Matrix. That was the nicest thing his dad has ever said to me. It's a nice compliment, though. Ask me more questions. I'm going to go till 10, I think. I'll just be here rambling. I got nothing better to do. I mean, I could be working on music, but my brain's kind of shot. So rambling's the easiest thing to do. What was it like touring with Magdalena Bay? Awesome. It was a very short-lived tour, and I also, for that tour, I was running sound for George Clinton, who was headlining, and I was opening. So I wish that maybe I had a little bit more time to process what was happening, but I was like, it was like every day after the next, I would have to run the sound check, then get like a little bit of time to like get ready, eat. There was like a time where I didn't even get to eat. And then after running sound check, Magdalena Bay would do their sound check. I didn't run sound for them. They were in the middle. So, yeah, I would just kind of like mentally prep myself, then hop on the stage, and then after, yeah, and then I would have to run sound again. So it was like really hustle bustle, but they are awesome people, brilliant. And it was cool because they hadn't like totally blown up yet to what they are now. But it was kind of happening as we were in the car. They were starting to get like all of these blogs talking about them. Like, you can tell all these eyes were on them, and absolutely expected, because they're just like everything you would ever want in an artist. Like, they're on a visual side of things, they're brilliant. They're so fun, playful. The music's so good, and it just feels like they're like a factory of just like putting out great songs. So I really, really, really respect them. Their work ethic is very apparent. And they're just very sweet people. So, yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome getting to see like behind the scenes a little bit, and they definitely challenged me, like in terms of just like, you know, their art and their music extends outwards into all the visual aspects of things and everything. So for me, it's like, it's a good reminder that like, you know, you shouldn't just limit yourself into one like artistic area. It's like, I shouldn't just be a musician, you know, I should like extend the world and the universe out into everything else. So they teach me a lot about that. How many albums have I released? Just one little album. One album. But I have one more coming out this year. And then basically I was working on a whole other record last year. And this was something that like I was like heavily focused on all of last year. And it was a record I wanted to finish by this year. But what happened was I think it was getting really intense, and the music has an intensity about it. It's so this other record that I'm working on, it's like more like dark atmospheric electronic music. That's the best way I could describe it. And I think with the heaviness that was just going on in my life and just around the world, and everything felt dark all at once. And so I think there would be days where I just start writing like a little indie riff, and then all of a sudden I had like a few songs that like totally did not fit on this atmospheric electronic record. And then all of a sudden I had a moment quite recently, like maybe a few months ago, and I was like, okay, time to work on a different record now. So that's what I'm doing now. Now I'm working on the more indie-minded record. So I swear to God, like this record, it's its own entity. It's its own thing that's trying to manifest itself into existence. And I am just like the vessel for that, because I was not planning any of that at all. It's just coming out on its own, and I can't stop it. So now that's where my focus lies. Where can you buy the records? I think Chris, maybe if you can write in the chat where they can purchase my records, that would be helpful. I'm still friends with Magdalena Bay. We don't really talk much right now, but like, we've gone out to dinner. I think it was like last year, and yeah, I haven't seen them in a long time, but I still consider them friends for sure. Is Ricochet on the new album? Not this one. But I plan on putting it on that atmospheric record that I'm talking about. So it'll be on a record at some point. Not this current one though. 2 drops this year. I don't think I can do 2 album drops this year. I was originally thinking about doing that, but I still have a lot to finish. So more likely that other record will drop next year. I don't want to put too much out all at once, you know? But yeah, I realized that it's kind of good to be working on 2 separate projects at the same time, especially if they kind of oppose each other sonically, because I think at a certain point when you're working on a sound for a long time, it can start to feel stale. And then all of a sudden it's not really a creative outlet for you anymore. It becomes like a task that you have to finish. And so having something else that you're working on concurrently, that now can be the outlet for that feeling of that mundane feeling you're getting from that record. You can kind of like throw into the other record to create some sense of novelty. So that's what I was doing with these indie songs. It was just like, for a sense of novelty, something new, something more uplifting, all the feelings that kind of like were opposite to what I was doing with the other record. And yeah, I'm sure by the time I go back to the other record, it's gonna feel fresh again. So I mean, I recommend working that way. Oh, still 31 people in this chat. Hello to everyone, even if you're just sitting there chilling. I hope you're enjoying the brisk January weather. It's very icy out here. It's very hard to walk down the street right now. It's like all the sidewalks are just sheets of ice. Quite dangerous. Yeah, what's everyone's New Year resolution? I don't really have one. I think I've learned a lot about how the body kind of cycles with the seasons, and we're not really meant to be in our most extreme level of production this time of year. So I feel like it's better to wait for that New Year's resolution at the turn of spring. So I think that's when I'm going to make mine. Thanks for hanging out, Raniere. Thank you. Hope to see you soon. Oh, welcome back, Jordan. It is cold as fuck. I mean, this is bad as a sound engineer, but I have my heater going. I'm sure the mic's picking up some of it, but I'm in my basement, so there's really no heat coming down here aside from this heater. New Year's resolution is to listen to the new Vitesse X-Ray. Yeah, that should be mine. Mine should be getting this record out this year. I mean, that is absolutely the plan, but, you know, just to solidify that plan a bit more. Where am I from originally? I'm from upstate New York. Although where I'm from, we wouldn't actually call us upstate New Yorkers because we're still fairly south. But north of the city in the Hudson Valley region. And I moved to Virginia for a few years for college and then moved back up to the city. So, and I've been in the city for about 10 and a half years, I believe. Yeah, I like doing themes for years. You're saying your theme for 2024 is being deliberate, aware, and diligent. I love that. I actually have done that in the past. I feel like I didn't choose a theme for this year. Maybe I should do that. But yeah, I try to just kind of almost like as a mantra, like have just like one intention going into the year of like what I'm going to try to like tap more into. So like last year for me, the word, I just have like a word that I'll choose. So like last year was authenticity. It was a big one. And I actually, no, I've thought about it. This year for me, it's confidence because, you know, I feel so safe behind my computer and just working in my DAW all day. That's my safe space. So like putting myself out there, it's trickier for me as a introvert. So confidence, that's my word for this year. You've already started making drum and bass and 90s inspired big beat. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I got really into Meat Beat Manifesto this past year. Yeah, that 90s big beat sound is just so good. So good. Yeah. What else should I feel like there's just so many things that have happened since the last time I've streamed. But yeah. What else? What else? Yeah. I feel like I've covered so much. Someone give me a prompt. Give me a prompt. I'm like trying to keep myself awake right now because I got like 5 hours of sleep, but I need to make sure I stay on my sleep schedule. So, I'm just gonna hang out. I might just stare into the screen. Yeah, Meat Beat Manifesto. Fucking great. So good. My friend showed me them. And I was like blown away that I hadn't heard them before. It just feels so classic. It's so fun, and like the samples are so good. I fucking love the samples. Yeah, I've discovered a lot of new music this past year. I think this past year for me was it was more just consuming and like taking things in. I think this year was hard, but I think it was necessary in many ways to like because I was having a hard time creating. I was having a hard time just making things and putting things out into the world. And I think in many ways it was just actually meant to be a time for me to sit and take things in again. And so, yeah, I started listening to a lot more music this past year, and discovering a lot of stuff from the 90s that I had never listened to before. Yeah, like Hooverphonic, I hadn't really like listened to their music at all. And I was just like, wow, I'm like discovering all these records that are classics that I haven't actually listened to fully. Some of my songs are perfect to listen to while running. When making music, do you think about the dynamic they have? That's a really cool statement to hear. 'Cause I have a lot to say about that actually. Because I always felt like a late bloomer as a musician because I started when I was around 18, actually taking it seriously, like actually trying to learn guitar and all that stuff. So before that, I was an athlete. I ran and I cross country skied and like solo sports. And a lot of my time was kind of consumed in these like translate states, I would say, where like, you know, because I ran every day. And when you're running miles upon miles every day, you get like that, you get into those trance-like states. And I never really saw the connection between that and any of the music that I listened to. I never really, I just always perceived that to be a separate world from my sports world. And then later on in life, I started listening to Kraftwerk. And I remember listening to Tour de France for the first time and having this like revelatory moment where I realized that those two worlds actually there was a place where they could meld together and be one. And I mean, Kraftwerk sort of like fully exemplifies how to like enter that trance-like state sonically that you would enter if you're biking for miles upon miles or running or whatever. There's just a similar experience there. And so that was really cool for me because I always felt like, I feel like your identity as a human a lot of times you base it off of like who you were in your youth. And so for me, I always felt like an outsider as a musician. Like I'm just an athlete that's like in a musician's cloak or something. Like I just always felt like an outsider, like that imposter syndrome. And then listening to Kraftwerk made me realize like there's no place where one thing ends and another thing begins. It's just, it can all move fluidly together, and it can all be inspired by each other. And I don't say I actively try to like convey that in my music, but Kraftwerk's a huge inspiration for me. So I think naturally it like would make sense that there would be some of that in my music. So it's cool to hear that you can run to my music, because it's not really like, I know some people like working out to like really heavy EDM or something, and my music's not exactly like that, but that's cool. My next New York show, we're working on it. I think we're planning on end of March or early April. So, maybe, because we're doing South by, so it'll be sometime soon after that. That's the plan, at least. If I was a drug, what drug would I be? So I cannot smoke weed. I've never been able to smoke weed. I've tried maybe not thousands of times. I've tried many times to smoke weed and enjoy it, and it never happens. I've tried so many strains growing up, or like, when I got to college, like people would be like, you're just smoking the wrong strain. And I'd be like, I don't know. And then I would try a different strain and still have the same freak out. But I feel like the associations we have with weed, like I feel like that's definitely like how my brain naturally works. I'm a very spacey person. I kind of disengage a lot with like my current environment and like kind of just live my own dream world. So I feel like I would probably take on that persona, even though I cannot smoke weed for the life of me. My favorite VSTs. So I would say it's crazy how much I just end up relying on like a couple things. So for the last record, I was basically relying a lot on Massive, my Massive synth. And then now it's like I've actually been getting more out of the box. So I have like my Oberheim synth now, which I try to use a lot more. And my TB3 that I use still all the time. But I also have Imposcar VST. So I use that on a lot too, because it's funny because the music I listen to, a lot of it is so like modular synth based. But I'm so in the box. So I try to like still get as close to like the analog sound as possible. And Imposcar is just, from my experience, has been the best for that. I use Etruria a little bit too, here and there. But it's like I'm pretty much using like Native Instruments, Etruria, and then Imposcar for all my synth stuff. And then like for reverbs, it's Valhalla is like my main go-to for that. And then I've been using like just some other stuff to kind of add like more analog vibes. So there's like this cassette emulator that I use now. I can't remember the company that makes it. It's called Sketch Cassette. And actually Equip, if you guys know who that is, he turned me on to that. But yeah, those are like my go-tos that I use. And then I use Serum a little bit from time to time, depending. What but I like to stick to the same things. It gives me a little bit more of just like a strict palette to use. For the Kraftwerk album, I would say the Tour de France album is my favorite because I had that like experience with it. So yeah, the Tour de France album. I probably have it sitting here somewhere. Since I run a record label, how do I get on Spotify playlists? I mean, I'm not really the one pitching myself as much, but getting on Spotify playlists, I mean, are you talking about editorial playlists? The thing is, like, you know, editorial playlists are cool, obviously, but there are a lot of user-based playlists too that have big followings, and those are also really great to get on if you can do that. So I mean, there's a lot that has to go into like timing with releases. So I like to have a song ready to go about a month before, at least a month before. It would be better if it's like 6 weeks before we start pitching my stuff to Spotify. But I'm not just pitching to Spotify. I'm just like pitching to user playlists and everything. And there's platforms where you can pitch your music. So yeah, a lot of it has to do with pitching and talking to, basically you're like giving a description of what the song's about, and then, you know, giving a story. A story is really important. And that's like the biggest advice I can give. I like to kind of keep away from the business side stuff a bit more, just to keep my head on straight. But I think no matter what your approach is, having a story is the biggest thing. That's what will resonate with people. That's what will resonate with the listeners, the curators, all of it. And so you can present a story through your descriptors, through how you just explain what the song is about, and how, and the story of you as a person too, and how that connects with that. So, yeah, that's a big thing. That's a big thing for me, and also just as someone that's running a label now, like creating a story for these artists, and not creating it, but finding the story. Everyone has a story, and it's about like finding that story and then extracting it and elevating it and making it so that the world can see it and feel it and connect with it. So yeah, that's my advice. I mean, find your story and then try to get that out into the world. Music is the best drug. It is. It really is. I've tried some stuff, but nothing compares to the drug of music. I feel like music always gives me a transcendent experience that feels real. It doesn't feel artificial. And like this year, because I can't smoke weed, you know, and I hate drinking. So it's like music really is the only way I can find some solace, you know? And like this year I found myself, I mean, I was saying I've been listening to like a lot more indie rock and all that stuff, but there was one record in particular I listened to every day. I still listen to it every day. It's an ambient record by this artist, Tareka. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his artist name right, called Improvisational Loops. And it's the most beautiful ambient record I personally have ever heard. No type of antidepressant could compare to like the feeling it gives to me when I listen to it. I'd highly recommend checking the album out if you're an ambient head like I am. But yeah, music is the best drug. Absolutely. Danny smokes for the freak out. That's cool. I respect that. I'm definitely an introvert. I am an introvert since day one. I've been an introvert. People don't I don't want to say people drain me. I drain myself when I'm around people. Like, it's more of like, I think when you're an introverted person, from what I've gathered, it's like you have your own internal universe going on. And so when there's a lot of external stimuli and then you combine that with the internal universe going on, it can just be overwhelming. So I don't like to say people drain me because I love people and I actually like, I love being around people. It's just like I need to do it in smaller doses because it's just overwhelming sometimes. So it's like as an introvert, I think you have to be more proactive about like really curating your environment in a way that like caters to your nervous system's needs. So I try my best, but in New York, it's like that's impossible to fully do it right. My favorite fruit, I love fruit. I love a lot of different types of fruit. I eat oranges all the time. Mandarins. I actually don't like oranges as much. Mandarins. Oranges are harder to peel and they're like not as juicy. Bananas. Blueberries. Blueberries are probably my favorite fruit, but it has to be in season. That's the thing. I'll eat a whole thing of blueberries. In the summer, I go out every night. At least during the pandemic, I would go walk to the grocery store every night, get a thing of blueberries, eat it all on the walk back, and then do that every day. Have I ever played with Sonic Pi? I have not. Tell me more about it. You freak out every time you smoke, but keep doing it for some reason. Is it just me or does everyone freak out smoking? I don't know a single person these days that doesn't freak out when they smoke. Almost nearly all of my friends have quit smoking for that reason. I feel like weed's just like too strong now or because our nervous systems are so overwhelmed these days, it's like doesn't really help our cause anymore. I don't know. But if there's anyone here that actually enjoys smoking, let me know. I'll be surprised. Mandarin juice. I need to get a juicer. I think I used to have one, but they take a lot. The cleanup is just intense. Yeah. Living in New York, yeah, the homies like to go out. That's for sure. Yeah, and I've had my moments where like I'm going out a lot more frequently. Definitely not now. When I'm in like album mode, the last thing I want to do is be around anyone. But yeah, New York is hard. It's hard. Like I thought it was hilarious like when people started using the term FOMO, and I was like, I don't get it. Like I don't feel like I need to be anywhere. But over time I've like, because there's so many exciting things happening in New York, like, and it's so close by too, like there'll be moments where like my favorite DJ is playing like a few blocks away and it's like, but I can't go. And so there's these constant feelings of like maybe I'm missing out on an opportunity or an experience. But yeah, New York is not for the faint of heart, I will tell you that. Yeah, see, no one smokes anymore. No one. Oh, DJ Dave is using Sonic Pi to code. I was always wondering what she was using for that. Um, yeah, because it's so sick. She's like coding her performances live, which I've never seen anyone do before. That's sick. I'm gonna look into it. I mean, I'm not gonna like copper style because I actually don't have interest in doing that personally, but I'm kind of fascinated with how that works. Weed makes you more aware, usually more aware of things you don't want to be aware of. Yeah. I guess I haven't found the right moment. Yeah. I've given up on trying though. I have a better time, like I said, just like sitting, listening to ambient music a million times better than I will ever have smoking weed. So might as well just do that. Do I think Pitchfork is done? I think it's definitely, I mean, it's changing. I hope it's not done, but now that it's like nested under GQ, it's like, what does that mean? And like all the major contributors are now gone. So I don't believe it's done, but I really don't know where it's moving to. Um, Chris was mentioning earlier, he thinks that maybe it'll be more of like a contributor based thing where they don't have so much like people working under them as like a full-time thing. They just have contributors that will write articles, so they'll like pay out to contributors to write articles or something, which that seems logical to me. But I don't know, it's sad, but at the same time I think all of this was predictable. I think that, you know, the whole landscape of the music industry has been shifting, and there's not as much of like these main voices now that are leading the conversation and what is good and bad and worth your time. It's just like it's become maybe more democratic in certain ways, maybe less in other ways. And now with TikTok, it's like anyone can be their own music journalist. And like now I'm personally like following people that will give their music recommendations on TikTok. And for many people, that's a good enough source. It's better than a score on Pitchfork to a lot of these people. So I don't know. I think it's just changing. I don't want to like look at it too negatively. Everything's bound to change in the end. I feel horrible for all these writers that are out of work. That's the worst part. Do I have a spiritual nature, belief in God? Yeah, it's interesting. I have like a very scientific mind, but I also have like, I feel like I'm split in two. I consider myself I definitely consider myself a spiritual person. But I also make sure that I'm being really mindful about not getting led into directions that lead me astray from like the truth, I guess. And I think it's very easy in our human nature to be impressionable to other human minds. And I think a lot of times when people give you anecdotal stories about things, or it's just easy to fall into the trap of taking someone's word for things if they're really good at speaking and if they're really good with their words. And I've just seen so often people get manipulated, probably even more so now with just so much information at our fingertips, and everyone can do what I'm doing right now and just like be their own podcast and say whatever they want. And if they sound smart, then it's easy to believe it. And so for me, my spiritual journey, I guess you could say, is really just trusting myself and my instinct and my own experience, and not really anyone else's. And being okay with not knowing things, and being okay with the fact that there's a lot of uncertainty and that I'll never know certain things. And I think that being in existence, being a human being, just living, is its own spiritual journey. And I think that, to me, everyone's spiritual in that way. Like, just the act of existing is so profound to me that I think that is very spiritual in itself. So I try not to use spirituality too much as like an escape from the present moment as much as possible too. Because I see people get led astray in that way too, where it's like, okay, now I'm taking on this spiritual persona, so now I have to like live the spiritual life, whatever that means to them. So now I wear crystals on my necklace, and now I do. It's like, I just think that living your life and doing your day job and, just living is enough. So that's my thoughts on that, I guess. Oh, my pitchfork score. Yeah. My pitchfork score was, I was happy when I got a pitchfork score. Some would say it wasn't like a great pitchfork score, but I had no expectations of getting a pitchfork review at all. So just to get mentioned on Pitchfork for me, and like, mind you, I started playing music during like the blog bubble, when bloggers were the ultimate word about what was important in music. So I always have put Pitchfork on a pedestal in that way, just because I grew out from that era. And so for me, getting a Pitchfork review is just exciting. I didn't really care about the score. The score is fine. And the actual review was actually really nice. And I appreciated everything they had to say. It wasn't negative at all. So yeah, I don't believe that they should have given me any. It's just a number. It's all arbitrary, really. But yeah, that was a big moment for me, actually. That was like a milestone moment for me. Oh, you think Pitchfork was only writing about Boy Genius? Yeah, maybe. Keep music DIY. Yeah. I think it's better that way too. Favorite shoe brand? I rock my Solomons all the time. I'm not actually wearing them now. But what was awesome about, I guess, the latest fashion trends kind of shifting, was that the stuff I used to wear when I would ski now became like high fashion. And so, like, I used to rock Solomons when I was younger all the time, every day. More so like my Solomon ski boots, but then all of a sudden, Solomon started doing all these like high-end fashion collabs. And so now they're in, and I can just fully be myself and look cool doing it. So I rock the Solomons. They feel good. They look good. Yeah. And I have a bunch of pairs, but I have a specific Solomon shoe that has like this much of a platform. And those are probably my favorite shoes. Pitchfork definitely was ruthless back in the day too. Pitchfork was they've been a lot nicer in recent years. But back in the day they were ruthless, and they, you know, it's a love-hate thing with Pitchfork for a lot of musicians, because they really did sort of have control of the future of a lot of artists' careers back then. And if a band got a bad score, it could really change like everything for them, especially when it comes to record sales and everything. So I mean, yeah. And they like, I remember, I mean, it's kind of funny to me, but like they gave that band Jet a 0, and it wasn't even a review. They just had a video of a monkey peeing in its mouth, and that was the review. So yeah, they've changed their ways since then, but they were ruthless. They were. I don't revel in their demise, but that was an era. And yeah, it's true. You know, sometimes it's like give an upsetting score so that people want to talk about it and people will click it. So yeah. Yeah, the monkey piss review is pretty like classic. I feel like that kind of just like is the best summary of what Pitchfork used to be about. Yeah. How could you give Portishead a bad review? Come on. And Chris and I were talking about there's this one Sonic Youth record. What's it called? Flowers something. They gave it a 0.2. And Chris and I were listening to the record recently, and it's just like fucking amazing. So sometimes they didn't know what they were talking about. Oh yeah, of course Kid A gets a 10. Yeah. Well, it's nearly 10 p.m. There's still a lot of people in the chat. That's fucking great. But I think I'm on my last leg. If anyone has any final questions for me, feel free. But otherwise, I'm gonna call it a night. I really appreciate everyone hanging out. This is fun. I like just rambling. It feels like I'm just writing a journal entry about my life. My favorite season? It's hard to say. I feel like each season gives me something necessary. I need seasons. I love the winter for giving me an ability to kind of incubate. It's a great creative time for me. I'm starting to like the winter the most just because it's like the least distractions going on. And I can just be kind of in my little cocoon, like working on music. But I love the fall, especially New York. It's still warm enough at times, like where I can go for a walk, but it's like, and there's actually like New York in the fall is vibrant. Like there's so much going on. There's so many fun things happening. I've started to like really dislike the summer in New York. It's become my least favorite season. But they're all important. Seasons are important. If Pitchfork gave my new album review with a video, what would the video be? I don't know. They definitely. I hope they wouldn't do the monkey pissing in its mouth. I feel like I don't know what the video would be, but I feel like if they had one critique about this next record, it's that there's a lot of like ethereal oohing and awing, and that might be annoying to a critic. I was like, maybe that'll be like the one thing that would like really get under their skin. Yeah, I'm prepared for anything though. How would I rate this yapping session? Oh, are you saying I'm yapping? Jeez. 10, man. Lady. Dude. 10. Favorite Madonna song? God, there was one I was listening to. I'm not good with like Madonna song names. There was actually one Madonna song I was listening to not that long ago. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I was never like a huge Madonna head, but it's from Ray of Light. Oh yeah, Ray of Light. That track, I was like, whoa, this production's amazing. Good night, Lazy Turtle. Thanks for hanging out. Would I ever leave New York City? Not exactly. I think New York City is always in my heart. I think if I do move, it would be like a little bit outside of the city. But I need to be close by. I probably move like closer to where I grew up. It's the year 2034. Pitchfork only reviews albums with 3 seconds, 9x16 videos. Yeah. I could see it heading in that direction. Okay, I will listen to Skin. All right, yeah. I think everyone's calling it a night, so I will too. But thank you so much for hanging out for this yapping session. Maybe I'll do another one soon. Well, I think I'll be having like maybe a release a month from here on out for a while. It's looking likely. So maybe one yapping session per month. That sounds good to me. But cool, thanks for hanging out. You guys are the best. This was super fun. And I don't astral project. I'd like to. I want to figure that out. But good night, Jordan. Other Jordan. This has been fun. It's been real. Keep listening to the tunes and come out to my LA show if you're in LA. And yeah, stay tuned for more music.